Captain Lee Dongwu gripped the rail of his command platform as another explosion shook the orbital station. Through the thick glass windows, he could see the enemy ships moving like dark shadows against the stars. Their weapons fired bright beams of energy that cut through space and struck Earth's surface below. The planet looked sick. Where once there had been bright city lights, now there were only red glows from fires and dark patches where nothing remained. Seoul, his home city, was still fighting. He could see the flashes of defensive weapons trying to push back the alien invasion. But it was not enough. It would never be enough. "Sir, we lost contact with Defense Platform 7, reported Lieutenant Kim Soo-jin from her position at the communications desk. Her voice was steady, but Lee could see the fear in her young eyes. "That makes 4 platforms down in the last hour." Lee nodded grimly. They had started this battle with 12 orbital defense platforms. Now only 3 remained, and his was the largest. The aliens had been smart about their attack. They had come in waves, wearing down Earth's defenses piece by piece. First they destroyed the big battleships. Then they went after the smaller cruisers. Now they were finishing off the defense platforms before moving in for the final attack on the planet itself. "Status report on our weapons?" Lee asked. "Main cannon is at 60% power. We're running low on energy cells for the secondary batteries," answered Sergeant Park Ji-ho from the weapons station. "At this rate we can fight for maybe 2 more hours. 2 hours. Lee looked down at Earth again. In 2 hours the last orbital defense would be gone. Then the aliens would land their troops and finish what they had started. Millions of people would die. His family was down there somewhere, probably hiding in the underground shelters in Seoul. The enemy ships were called Vorthak. That much the humans had learned before their fleet was destroyed. They came from somewhere beyond the edge of known space, and they had already conquered 17 other star systems. Earth was just the latest target in their path of destruction. Admiral Park Ji-min had led the Earth Defense Fleet in a brave last stand near Mars. Lee had watched the battle through his long-range sensors. The human ships had fought well, but the Vorthak technology was too advanced. Their shields were stronger, their weapons more powerful. One by one, the Earth ships had been destroyed or crippled. The Admiral's flagship, Incheon's Pride, had managed to send one final message before its communications went dark. "Earth Command, this is Admiral Park. The fleet is lost. I repeat, the Earth Defense Fleet is lost. All defense platforms, you are now our last line. Hold the line. Protect our world." "This is Admiral Park Ji-min signing off." That had been 6 hours ago. Lee wondered if the Admiral was still alive somewhere out there in the wreckage of his ship. "Sir, incoming transmission from the surface," Kim Soo-jin called out. "It's from Busan Defense Command." "Put it through," Lee ordered. The face that appeared on the main screen was dirty and tired. Colonel An Hyun-jin commanded the ground forces defending the port city of Busan. Behind him, Lee could see smoke and the flash of weapons fire. "Captain Lee, we need whatever support you can give us," the colonel said. His voice was hoarse from shouting orders. "The aliens are landing troops all along the coast. Their soldiers have better armor and weapons than us. We're holding the evacuation zones, but I don't know for how long." "I'll do what I can, Colonel," Lee replied. "But my position isn't much better than yours." "Understood. Just keep fighting, Captain. Every minute you keep those ships busy up there is another minute for our people to get to safety." The transmission ended. Lee stared at the blank screen for a moment, then turned back to watch the battle outside. 3 large Vorthak ships were moving toward his platform. Their hulls were dark and angular, like metal sharks swimming through space. Strange symbols glowed along their sides in a sickly green color. "All weapons target the lead ship," Lee commanded. "Give them everything we have." The platform's main cannon fired, sending a brilliant blue beam across space. It struck the alien ship's shields and caused them to flicker, but did not break through. The alien ship responded by firing back. Its weapon was different from anything humans used. Instead of a single beam, it shot out what looked like liquid fire that spread across the platform's shields. The lights dimmed as the shields absorbed the energy. Warning alarms began to sound. "Shields down to 40%, reported technical specialist Song Mi-young from her console. "If they hit us like that 2 more times, we're done." Lee was about to give another order when something strange happened. Kim Soo-jin looked up from her sensor readings with confusion on her face. "Sir, I'm getting some weird readings on the deep space scanners," she said. "What kind of readings?" Lee asked, not taking his eyes off the approaching Vorthak ships. "I'm not sure. There's something out there, beyond the edge of the solar system. It's big, but the signal keeps appearing and disappearing, like something is trying to hide from our sensors. Could be more aliens, suggested Park Ji-ho. No, the energy signature is different. This isn't Vorthak technology. Kim Soo-jin frowned at her instruments. Actually, it's not like anything I've seen before. Lee wanted to investigate, but he had more immediate problems. The 3 Vorthak ships were spreading out, preparing to attack his platform from multiple angles. Soon they would be close enough that his weapons could not target all of them at once. "Sir, we have to abandon the platform," said Song Mi-young. "The evacuation pods are ready." Lee looked at his crew. They were all young, barely out of the academy. They trusted him to make the right decision. But what was the right decision when all choices led to defeat? He thought about the colonel in Busan, fighting to protect civilians. He thought about Admiral Park, who had died defending Earth. He thought about his family somewhere below, counting on him to keep the aliens away for just a little longer. "No," Lee said finally. "We stay and fight. Every minute we hold this position is another minute for Earth." The crew nodded. They were scared, but they were ready. Outside, the Vorthak ships moved closer. Their weapons began to charge, preparing for the final attack. But somewhere in the darkness beyond, something else was watching. Something that had been waiting for the right moment to act. The battle for Earth was about to change in ways that no one could imagine. Captain Choi Min-ho floated in the command chair of his stealth frigate, Ghost of Jeju, watching his instruments with growing concern. His ship was hidden in the shadow of one of Jupiter's moons, running silent to avoid detection by the Vorthak forces that now controlled most of the outer solar system. "Captain, those gravity readings are getting stronger," whispered his navigation officer, Ensign Nam Jin-woo. Even though they were alone in space, everyone on the bridge spoke quietly. It was a habit that came from spending months hiding from enemies. Choi studied the data on his screen. For the past 3 days, his sensors had been detecting massive gravitational disturbances moving through the solar system. The disturbances were too large to be ships and too regular to be natural phenomena. They appeared and disappeared without warning, as if something enormous was moving in and out of normal space. "Have you ever seen anything like this before?" Choi asked his science officer, Dr. Yoon Ha-young. Dr. Yoon shook her head. She had been studying the readings for hours, comparing them to every known form of technology in the human database. "Nothing matches, Captain. Whatever is causing these disturbances is using technology that's completely unknown to us." "Could it be the aliens? Some new weapon they haven't used yet?" "I don't think so. The Vorthak technology is advanced, but it follows patterns we can understand. This is something else entirely." On the other side of the solar system, the Vorthak were having similar problems. Commander Jang Tai-min, working in a hidden intelligence station on Earth's moon, had been intercepting and decoding alien communications since the invasion began. What he was hearing confused him. The Vorthak were not acting like conquerors anymore. Their messages to each other were full of fear and uncertainty. They spoke of silent hunters and ghost ships. Their fleet formations, which had been aggressive and confident just days before, were now defensive and cautious. "Listen to this," Jang told his assistant, Corporal Hwang So-young. He played back a decoded transmission between 2 Vorthak commanders. Even through the translation software, the fear in their voices was clear. "Sector 7 reports no contact with Survey Fleet Zeta," one alien voice said. "Last transmission mentioned detecting unknown energy signatures before communications ceased." "That makes 4 fleets lost in the Outer Rim," replied another voice. "Command believes the Silent Hunters have found us." "The Silent Hunters?" Hwang asked. "What are those?" "I don't know," Jang admitted. "But whatever they are, the Vorthak are terrified of them. Look at this tactical analysis." He brought up a holographic display showing Vorthak ship movements over the past week. Instead of the aggressive advance that had characterized their invasion, their fleets were now pulling back from certain areas of space. They were abandoning positions that should have been easy to hold. "They're not just fighting us," Jang realized. "They're fighting something else. Something they're more afraid of than they are of Earth's defenses." Back on the Ghost of Jeju, Captain Choi received an encrypted message from Earth Command. The few remaining orbital platforms needed reconnaissance data on Vorthak movements in the outer system. It was a dangerous mission, but it was exactly the kind of work his stealth ship was built for. "Set course for the asteroid belt," Choi ordered. "Keep us in stealth mode and maintain radio silence." As the Ghost of Jeju moved deeper into space, Its sensors continued to detect the strange gravitational anomalies. They seemed to be growing stronger and more frequent. Meanwhile, in Earth's last orbital shipyard, engineer Song Mi-young was working desperately to repair the damaged battlecruiser Soul's Vengeance. The ship had been heavily damaged in the battle at Mars, but it was still humanity's most powerful remaining warship. The work was slow and difficult. The shipyard had lost most of its crew, and replacement parts were nearly impossible to find. Song had been working for 18 hours straight, welding damaged hull plates and rerouting power systems. She was taking a short break when her sensor board lit up with an impossible reading. Something massive had just appeared on her screens, less than 1,000 kilometers from the shipyard. But when she looked out the window, she saw nothing but empty space. "Computer, run a full diagnostic on the sensor array," she commanded. "Diagnostic complete. All sensors functioning normally," the computer replied. Song frowned and checked the reading again. According to her instruments, there was definitely something out there. Something large enough to be a major warship. But her visual scanners showed nothing. She watched her screens for several more minutes. The energy signature would appear for a few seconds, then vanish completely. It was as if something was testing the effectiveness of its cloaking system. On Earth's surface, the war continued. The Vorthak had landed troops in major cities around the world, but their advance had slowed significantly. Colonel An Hyun-jin, commanding the defense of Busan, noticed the change immediately. "They're being more careful now," he told his staff during a brief meeting in their underground command bunker. "Yesterday they were charging straight into our defensive lines. Today they're setting up perimeters and waiting." "Waiting for what?" asked Major Lim Ga-young, his intelligence officer. "I wish I knew," An replied. "But something has them spooked. Their attack patterns have completely changed." Dr. Yoon Ha-young, now back at Earth's main research facility, was analyzing pieces of Vorthak technology recovered from destroyed alien ships. What she found supported the growing evidence that the Vorthak were fighting more than just humanity. The alien weapons and armor showed signs of modifications that made no sense for fighting humans. Their energy shields had been upgraded to protect against weapon types that Earth had never developed. Their communication equipment included frequencies that humans couldn't even detect. "They're not just equipped to fight us," she explained to the research team. "They're equipped to fight something with far more advanced technology." The most interesting discovery came from the aliens' computer systems. Hidden in their navigation databases were star charts showing vast areas of space marked as forbidden zones. These zones seemed to be expanding outward from the center of the galaxy. "Look at this pattern," Dr. Yoon said, pointing to the holographic star map. "These forbidden zones correspond exactly to the areas where entire civilizations have gone silent over the past century." "You think something is destroying civilizations in the galactic core?" asked her research partner, Dr. Oh Jae-hyun. "I think the Vorthak are running from something," Dr. Yoon replied, "and whatever they're running from is following them." That night, Captain Choi's stealth ship detected the strongest gravitational anomaly yet. It lasted for nearly a full minute before disappearing, and it was close enough that his ship's hull actually creaked from the gravitational stress. "Captain," whispered Nam Jinwoo, "I think whatever's out there is getting ready to reveal itself." Choi nodded grimly. The mysterious readings were becoming impossible to ignore. Soon, humanity would learn what force was powerful enough to make the mighty Vorthak afraid. In his hidden intelligence station, Commander Jang intercepted another alien transmission. This one was different from the others. It was a priority message sent to all Vorthak commanders in the solar system. "All units, prepare for contact with silent hunters. Implement Protocol 7 immediately. Repeat, implement Protocol 7. Jang had never heard of Protocol 7, but the panic in the alien commander's voice told him everything he needed to know. Whatever the silent hunters were, they were about to make their presence known. The war for Earth was about to become much more complicated. The battle near Luna was going badly for Earth's forces. Captain Nam Jinwoo watched from the bridge of his defense corvette, Busan Runner, as Vorthak ships closed in on the last evacuation transports. The alien fleet had 50 ships. The humans had 12, and half of those were already damaged. "All units focus fire on the lead destroyer," Admiral Park Jimin commanded from the bridge of the repaired Soul's Vengeance. It was humanity's last major warship, and it was heavily outnumbered. Nam prepared to follow the order when something impossible happened. Space itself seemed to bend and twist near the center of the battle. The stars shifted and blurred like looking through water. Then with a flash of brilliant white light, something enormous appeared. The ship that materialized was unlike anything Nam had ever seen. It was massive, easily 3 times the size of the largest Vorthak dreadnought. Its hull was not the gray metal of human ships or the dark angular design of alien vessels. Instead, it seemed to shine with its own inner light, and its surface was covered with patterns that moved and flowed like living things. "What is that?" whispered his navigation officer, Ensign Bae Kyung-soo. Nam had no answer. The ship was clearly artificial, but it looked almost organic. As he watched, sections of its hull opened to reveal weapon ports that glowed with soft blue energy. The Vorthak reaction was immediate and surprising. Instead of attacking the newcomer, they began to retreat. Their tight attack formation broke apart as individual ships fled in different directions. "All human vessels. This is Commander Ryu Sang-min of the TDS Wandering Star," a voice said over the communication channels. The voice spoke perfect Korean with a slight accent that Nam couldn't place. "Please maintain your current positions. We will handle the hostile forces." "TDS?" Admiral Park's voice cut across the comm channel. "What does TDS stand for?" "Identify yourself immediately." "Terran Deep Space, Admiral. We'll explain everything once we've dealt with these Vorthak." The mysterious ship began to move, and Nam realized he was watching technology that made both human and alien ships look primitive. The Wandering Star didn't seem to accelerate like normal ships. Instead, it simply was in one place, then was somewhere else entirely. Blue beams of energy lanced out from its weapons, striking the fleeing Vorthak ships. But these weren't the crude laser or plasma weapons that humans and aliens used. These beams seemed to reach across space instantly, and when they hit their targets, the alien ships simply stopped. They didn't explode or break apart. They just went dark and began drifting. "My God," breathed Bae Kyung-soo. "They're disabling entire ships with single shots." In less than 5 minutes, the entire Vorthak fleet was neutralized. Some ships had been destroyed, but most were simply disabled. Their crews alive but helpless. The mysterious Wandering Star had accomplished what 50 Earth ships couldn't do. "Human vessels, this is Commander Ryu again." The voice returned. "We need to talk. Admiral Park, please prepare to receive visitors." A smaller craft detached from the huge ship and approached the Soul's Vengeance. Nam watched through his telescopic viewer as the shuttle docked with the battlecruiser. It was sleek and elegant, with the same flowing design as its mothership. 30 minutes later, Admiral Park's voice came over all communication channels. He sounded stunned. "All Earth forces, this is Admiral Park. What I'm about to tell you will be difficult to believe. The ship that just saved us, it's human. The crew are human. They are our people." Nam felt his mind struggling to process this information. "That's impossible," he said to his crew. "Where would humans get technology like that?" The answer came from Commander Ryu himself, who joined the fleet communication channel. "I understand your confusion," Ryu's voice said calmly. "Let me explain. In the year 2157, Earth launched a deep space exploration mission called Project Horizon. 50,000 volunteers left Earth aboard a colony ship to explore beyond the edge of known space. That mission was classified, and when contact was lost, it was declared a failure. He paused, letting this information sink in. "We were not a failure. We found worlds beyond your imagination and technologies left behind by ancient civilizations. For over 200 years, we have been learning, growing, and preparing for the day when Earth would need our help." Dr. Yoon Ha-young, listening from her laboratory on the moon, felt her hands shaking. 200 years, she whispered. "They've been out there for 200 years. Commander Ryu continued his explanation. "We call ourselves the Void Wanderers. We have been watching the Vorthak expansion for decades. We knew they would eventually reach Earth, and we have been preparing countermeasures." "Why didn't you contact us sooner?" Admiral Park asked. "Because we needed to be sure. The Vorthak are not just conquerors, Admiral. They are refugees. They are fleeing from something far worse. And they destroy civilizations in their desperate search for resources and safe worlds." Captain Choi Minho, still hidden in his stealth ship near Jupiter, couldn't believe what he was hearing. "Refugees? They've destroyed 17 star systems." "Yes," Ryu's voice replied, somehow hearing the transmission from the distant ship. "And they will destroy many more unless we stop them. But stopping them is only the first step. The real threat is what they're running from." Images began appearing on screens throughout the human fleet. They showed star charts of the galaxy's core regions, where entire sectors were marked in red. These are the consumed zones, Ryu explained. Hundreds of star systems where all life has been extinguished. The Vorthak barely escaped this fate, and now they spread the destruction wherever they go. Engineer Song-Mi Young, watching from the orbital shipyard, studied the technical readouts of the wandering star that were being transmitted. The technology was incredible. The ship seemed to use principles of physics that human science had barely theorized about. How is this possible? She breathed. How did you advance so far in just 2 centuries? We had help, Commander Ryu replied. The galaxy is old, and we are not the first intelligent species to evolve. We found the ruins of civilizations that reached heights of technology we are still learning to understand. We also learned from species that are still alive but have withdrawn from galactic affairs. Captain Nam Jinwoo found his voice. Are you saying there are other aliens out there? Friendly aliens? Some are friendly, some are neutral, and some, Ryu paused ominously, some are the reason the Vorthak are so desperate to find new worlds. On Earth's surface, Colonel An Hyun-jin was coordinating with his officers when the news reached them. The Vorthak ground forces had suddenly stopped their attacks and were withdrawing to their landing ships. Sir, they're retreating, reported Major Lim Ga-young with amazement. All across the planet, the alien forces are pulling back. They know we're here, Commander Ryu's voice explained over the global communication network. The Vorthak fear us more than they desire Earth, but this is only a temporary reprieve. They will regroup and return with larger forces unless we act quickly. Admiral Park's voice cut through the chatter. Commander Ryu, we need to meet in person. There's too much to discuss over communication channels. Agreed, Admiral. I'm sending shuttles to collect representatives from each of your commands. It's time you learned the full truth about what's coming. As the mysterious shuttles departed from the wandering star, Captain Nam stared at the impossible ship that had changed everything. Somewhere out there in the darkness of space, humans had survived and thrived beyond Earth's wildest dreams. They had returned at humanity's darkest hour, bringing hope and power beyond imagination. But they had also brought news of threats that made the Vorthak invasion seem small by comparison. The war for Earth was over, but the war for human survival was just beginning. The universe, it seemed, was far more dangerous and wonderful than anyone had imagined. The meeting hall aboard the Soul's Vengeance was crowded with the highest-ranking officers from Earth's surviving forces. Admiral Park Ji-min sat at the head of the table, still trying to process everything that had happened in the past few hours. Across from him sat Commander Ryu Sang-min of the Void Wanderers, looking remarkably similar to any other Korean officer, except for his strange, form-fitting uniform that seemed to shift colors in the light. Let me make sure I understand this correctly, Admiral Park said slowly. Your people have been living in deep space for over 2 centuries. You've developed technology that makes our best ships look like toys, and you're telling us that the Vorthak, who nearly destroyed our entire civilization, are actually running away from something worse? Commander Ryu nodded calmly. That's correct, Admiral. The Vorthak Collective is fleeing from entities we call the Devourers. These beings consume entire star systems, converting all matter into energy for their own purposes. Captain Bae Kyung-soo, Ryu's tactical officer, activated a holographic display that showed the central regions of the galaxy. Huge sections were colored in deep red. The Devourers emerged from the galactic core about 300 years ago, Bae explained. They move slowly but steadily outward, destroying everything in their path. The Vorthak were one of the first species to encounter them. Dr. Yoon Ha-young studied the display with growing horror. How many civilizations have been lost? Thousands, Ryu replied grimly. The Vorthak themselves were once a peaceful trading confederation. When the Devourers reached their home systems, they had to choose between extinction and becoming nomadic conquerors. They chose conquest. Colonel An Hyun-jin leaned forward in his chair. So you're saying we should feel sorry for them? They were trying to wipe out humanity. Not sorry, said Commander Hwang So-young, another Void Wanderer officer. But understanding their desperation helps us predict their actions. They attack civilizations not for pleasure but for survival. They need resources, technology, and safe worlds to stay ahead of the Devourers. Engineer Song-Mi Young had been quietly studying technical readouts of Void Wanderer equipment. Your ships, your weapons, even your uniforms, this technology is incredible. How did you advance so far? Ryu smiled slightly. We had advantages that Earth didn't have. When we left your solar system, we weren't bound by the same limitations. We could take risks, explore dangerous regions, and learn from species that Earth has never encountered. What kind of species? Asked Captain Nam Jinwoo. Some were refugees like the Vorthak, but peaceful ones. Others were ancient civilizations that had withdrawn from galactic affairs. A few were beings so advanced that they existed on levels we're still trying to understand, Ryu explained. But most importantly, we found the archives. The holographic display changed to show massive crystalline structures floating in space around a dying star. The archives are libraries left behind by a species called the Builders. They contained the accumulated knowledge of dozens of civilizations spanning millions of years. Everything from basic engineering to technologies that seem like magic. Captain Choi Min-ho, participating via communication link from his stealth ship, asked the question everyone was thinking. If you have all this knowledge and technology, why didn't you share it with Earth before now? The Void Wanderers exchanged glances before Ryu answered. Because the galaxy is more dangerous than Earth realized. Advanced civilizations attract attention from things like the Devourers. We've been trying to find a way to protect Earth without making it a target. But the Vorthak made it a target anyway, Admiral Park pointed out. Yes, which is why we had to act. The situation has changed, and Earth needs to be prepared for what's coming. Dr. Oh Jae-hyun, listening from his research station, asked, "What exactly is coming?" Commander Bay manipulated the display to show the galaxy from a different angle. The Devourers move in a pattern. They consume star systems in expanding spheres, but they don't move randomly. They're heading toward areas with high concentrations of intelligent life. The display zoomed in to show Earth's region of the galaxy, with projected paths marked in red. Based on their current movement pattern, they will reach this sector in approximately 50 years. The room fell silent. 50 years seemed like a long time, but compared to the magnitude of the threat, it was nothing. "What do we do?" asked Colonel An quietly. "We prepare," Ryu said firmly. "Earth needs to be transformed from a single world into a fortress system. Your people need to learn our technologies and develop new ones. Most importantly, humanity needs to expand beyond this solar system. You want us to become like you? Deep space wanderers?" Admiral Park asked. "Not exactly like us. But Earth cannot remain isolated anymore. You need colonies, research stations, and defensive positions throughout this region of space." Engineer Song raised her hand. "What about the technology transfer? How quickly can you teach us what you know?" Commander Huang smiled. "That process has already begun. While we've been talking, my technical teams have been working with your engineers. Your ship, the Soul's Vengeance, is being fitted with basic Void Wanderer defensive systems." "Without permission?" Colonel An demanded angrily. "With respect, Colonel, we don't have time for bureaucracy. The Vorthak will return within days with a larger fleet. Earth ships need every advantage we can give them." Dr. Yoon looked at the technical specifications that were appearing on her tablet. "These shield generators, they're using principles I don't recognize." "Quantum field manipulation," explained Captain Bay. "The Builders discovered that reality itself can be bent and shaped by the right kind of energy fields. Our shields don't just stop incoming attacks, they redirect them into alternate dimensions." Captain Nam shook his head in amazement. "This is like something from a fantasy story. Any sufficiently advanced technology appears magical," Commander Ryu quoted. "But it's all based on scientific principles. Principles that Earth scientists are perfectly capable of understanding, given time." The meeting continued for several hours as the Void Wanderers shared intelligence about Vorthak tactics, Devourer movements, and the current state of galactic civilization. Much of the information was difficult to accept, but the evidence was undeniable. Finally, Admiral Park asked the crucial question. "What do you need from us?" "Partnership," Ryu replied immediately. "We've been isolated for too long. We have technology and knowledge, but Earth has something we lost during our centuries in deep space, a unified civilization with billions of people working toward common goals. Our population could be seen as a weakness," pointed out Major Lim Ga-young. "Or, as humanity's greatest strength," Commander Huang countered. "The Builders, the Vorthak, even the Devourers. They're all relatively small in numbers. But Earth has 8 billion humans. If even a small percentage of them can be trained in advanced technologies, humanity could become one of the most powerful forces in the galaxy." The meeting ended with agreements to begin immediate technology transfers and joint training programs. As the Void Wanderer officers prepared to return to their ship, Commander Ryu pulled Admiral Park aside. "There's something else you should know," he said quietly. "We're not the only human colony that survived. There are others out there scattered across the galaxy. Some may have technologies even more advanced than ours." Admiral Park stared at him. "How many others?" "We don't know. We've made contact with 3 groups, but there could be dozens more. Humanity is far more widespread than Earth realizes." As the Void Wanderers departed, leaving behind technical teams and liaison officers, the people of Earth began to understand that their world had changed forever. They were no longer alone in the universe, and they were no longer weak, but they were also no longer safe. The galaxy was full of wonders and terrors beyond imagination, and humanity would need to grow strong quickly if they hoped to survive what was coming. 3 weeks after the first contact with the Void Wanderers, Captain Lee Dongwu stood on the bridge of his upgraded orbital platform and marveled at what he saw through the viewing ports. The space around Earth looked nothing like it had before the alien invasion. Dozens of ships moved through the darkness between worlds. Some were familiar Earth designs, but they had been transformed with new technology. Their hulls gleamed with energy shields, and their weapon systems glowed with power that could tear through Vorthak armor like paper. Others were completely new, sleek vessels built using Void Wanderer techniques and crewed by joint teams of surface humans and deep space wanderers. "Contact bearing 27 Mark V, reported Lieutenant Kim Soo-jin from her sensor station. She had requested transfer to the platform after the ground fighting ended, eager to be part of humanity's expanding space presence. "It's a big one, sir." "Vorthak heavy cruiser." Lee nodded calmly. "A month ago, a single Vorthak cruiser would have been enough to destroy his entire platform. Now it was just another target. Weapons status?" he asked. "All systems ready, Captain. The new quantum cannons are charged and targeting is locked." The Vorthak had returned just as Commander Ryu had predicted, but this time they came not as conquerors but as desperate survivors. Their main fleet had been destroyed by something in deep space, something that had been hunting them across the galaxy. Only scattered groups remained, and they were growing more desperate with each passing day. "Sir, incoming transmission from Admiral Kang," Kim reported. Admiral Kang Hyejin had been promoted to command the joint Earth Void Wanderer fleet after Admiral Park was injured during a Vorthak raid on Mars. She was tough, smart, and had adapted to the new technologies faster than anyone expected. "All units, this is Admiral Kang." Her voice came through the communication system. "We have multiple Vorthak contacts throughout the system. This appears to be their final push. All forces are authorized to engage with extreme prejudice." Lee watched as the battle began. Human ships moved with grace and power that would have been impossible just weeks before. The Soul's Vengeance, now equipped with Void Wanderer technology, launched fighters that could phase through solid matter and attack from multiple dimensions simultaneously. Captain Nam Jin-woo, commanding one of the new hybrid destroyers, led a squadron against a group of Vorthak ships near Jupiter. His vessel, the New Busan, used quantum tunneling to appear directly behind the enemy formation, firing weapons that disrupted the aliens' molecular structure. "This is New Busan to all units." Nam's voice crackled over the comm. "Enemy formation is broken. Moving to support Platform 7. The most impressive sight was Lieutenant Kim Soo-jin herself, now piloting an experimental fighter that combined human engineering with Void Wanderer technology. Her ship was barely larger than an old-style shuttle, but it could outmaneuver anything the Vorthak had and strike with the power of a battleship. She dove through a formation of alien fighters, her weapons carving through their ranks like a blade through silk. The aliens tried to respond, but her ship's defensive systems made her nearly untouchable. "This is Red Leader," she reported, using the call sign she had chosen for her new role. "Enemy fighter screen is eliminated. Moving to attack the command ship." The Vorthak command vessel was massive, easily the size of a small moon. It was heavily armed and protected by shields that had once been impenetrable. But human technology had changed dramatically in just a few weeks. "All units, concentrate fire on the command ship's shield generators," ordered Admiral Kang from her flagship, the Wandering Earth. The ship was a joint construction project, combining the best of both human traditions, Earth's industrial capacity and the Void Wanderer's advanced knowledge. Beams of energy struck the alien vessel from dozens of directions. But these were not the crude weapons that Earth had used in the early days of the war. These were quantum disruptors that attacked the basic structure of matter itself. The alien shields held for several minutes, then began to flicker and fail. "Target their main reactor," Kim Soo-jin called out as she led her squadron toward the weakening defenses. "Let's finish this." Her fighter passed through the collapsing shield wall and struck directly at the heart of the enemy ship. The explosion that followed was visible from Earth's surface, but even as the main Vorthak force was being destroyed, something else was happening on the edge of the solar system. Commander Ryu, monitoring the battle from his position near Pluto, detected massive energy readings approaching from interstellar space. "Admiral Kang, we have a problem," he transmitted urgently. "Long-range sensors are detecting incoming ships." "Lots of them. More Vorthak?" the Admiral asked. "No," Ryu replied grimly. "These are Devourer scout ships. They've found us." The celebration of victory over the Vorthak was cut short as new contacts appeared on every sensor screen in the human fleet. The ships that emerged from deep space were unlike anything anyone had seen before. They were not built but grown. Their hulls pulsed with organic energy, and they moved through space like living things. "All units fall back to defensive positions around Earth," Admiral Kang commanded. "This is what we've been preparing for." But Commander Ryu had other ideas. "Admiral, requesting permission to reveal our true strength." "What do you mean?" Instead of answering with words, Ryu activated a communication beacon that sent a coded signal into deep space. Within minutes, the space around Earth began to fill with new ships. These were not the few Void Wanderer vessels that had been visible before. This was an entire fleet. Hundreds of ships that had been hiding throughout the solar system using advanced cloaking technology. Some were as large as cities, others were sleek and fast like hunting birds. All of them were crewed by humans who had been preparing for this moment for decades. "My God," breathed Captain Lee from his platform. "How many of you are out there?" "More than you know," replied Commander Bay from one of the newly revealed ships. "We've been building and preparing for over 2 centuries. Today you see the true strength of human civilization." The battle that followed was unlike anything in recorded history. Devourer ships attacked with weapons that consumed matter and energy, turning it into fuel for their endless hunger. But humanity was ready. Earth's defenders fought with courage and determination that surprised even the veteran Void Wanderers. Surface humans who had learned advanced technologies in just weeks proved that adaptability was humanity's greatest weapon. Engineer Song Mi-young, now commanding a construction ship equipped with builder technology, used her vessel's fabrication systems to create new weapons during the battle itself. Dr. Yoon Ha-young coordinated research teams that analyzed Devourer technology in real time, finding weaknesses that could be exploited. The tide of battle turned when Kim Soo-jin made a discovery that changed everything. While attacking a Devourer vessel, she noticed that their organic hulls reacted strangely to certain frequencies of energy. "All units, this is Red Leader," she broadcast. "Try modulating your weapons to frequency 774. I think I found something." When human ships adjusted their weapons to match Kim's discovery, the results were immediate and dramatic. The Devourer ships, which had seemed nearly invulnerable, began to weaken and retreat. "They're not invincible," Admiral Kang announced to the entire fleet. "They're just another enemy that can be defeated by human determination and ingenuity." The battle raged for hours, but eventually the Devourer scouts were destroyed or driven off. As the last enemy ship vanished into deep space, humanity stood victorious. But this victory was different from the defeat of the Vorthak. This was not the end of a war, but the beginning of humanity's emergence as a major galactic power. "Citizens of Earth," Admiral Kang broadcast to the planet below. "Today we have proven that humanity cannot be conquered or consumed. We have taken our place among the stars, and we will never again face the universe alone." In the months that followed, Earth transformed into something unprecedented in galactic history. It became the center of a growing human civilization that combined the population and determination of the homeworld with the advanced knowledge of the Void Wanderers knew. Colonies were established throughout the local star systems. Research stations probed the mysteries of builder technology. And deep space exploration ships, crewed by volunteers from both Earth and the Wanderer fleets, set out to find other human colonies and allies among the stars. The unknown vessel that had decloaked during Earth's darkest hour had brought more than just salvation. It had revealed humanity's true potential and launched them into a future filled with infinite possibilities. The war for Earth was over. The age of human expansion had begun.